Reza, moving to a new country is a massive undertaking, but many immigrants arrive only to face a frustrating reality. Their credit history from home doesn't follow them. What does it actually mean to be financially invisible when you first land in the US?
The first thing I would say is financially invisible does not mean financially irresponsible. It just means that the American system doesn't have a record of you, right? So you could have spent many, many years, decades paying every bill on time in your country. You could be a successful doctor, engineer, entrepreneur. But when you come over here to America, that history doesn't follow you. And that's just really what the crux of the matter is. You don't have to have a credit score of zero. It's actually the fact that you just don't have a credit score. It doesn't exist. To the system, you're unknown. And that's why I've talked to so many immigrants. The experience is so frustrating. You know you're responsible. You know you are ethical, moral, and do all the right things. And the evidence to show it is just isn't there in the system. And it's kind of like arriving to a country with an incredible resume written in a language that no one knows. That's what it really is. And as a first generation immigrant, this is really personal to me. And what I would say to anyone listening is that newcomers coming to America aren't asking for special treatment. They're not asking for a handout. Hey, land over here, give me a great credit score so I can go rack up some debt. I think most people are just asking a fair shot at proving themselves and being and participating in the financial system.
People often think credit is just for buying a house or a luxury car, but it goes way deeper than that. How does having zero credit history block a newcomer from basic day-to-day necessities like renting an apartment, getting a phone plan, or even landing a job?
Look, in America, credit isn't just a borrowing score. It almost operates like a trust passport. So having a good credit score just means systems will recognize you as trustworthy. It's a passport for you to get access to things. Um, and a landlord, for example, may check your credit before renting you an apartment. A phone or utility company may require a larger deposit if you don't have a good credit score. And you may have trouble financing a car. And frankly, without a car, you can't operate in most cities in this country. So, all these different ways your credit score impacts your access, your quality of life, and the ability to do the things you need to do to get ahead. And credit information, in fact, can actually also appear in certain employment background checks, especially for financially sensitive positions. And although employers need to follow federal and state rules regarding that, but even your employers consider your credit score as potentially a way to determine whether you should get a job or not. And that's why it creates a painful catch 22, right? You need credit history to access basic parts of American life, but you also need access to the financial products to create that history. And I say this to anyone who's willing to listen: an immigrant is not necessarily high risk. The system just simply has less information about them, and they pay a price for that.
When people realize how critical credit is, their first instinct is usually to start applying for traditional US credit cards. Why is this a dangerous trap, and what happens to their score when they get hit with multiple denials?
Yeah. Look, a credit card isn't necessarily a trap. Panic applying is really the problem. And when people discover how important a credit card is, or how important their credit is, they may apply for 5 or 6 cards, hoping one issuer will just say yes. But it doesn't work that way, right? You can't. Luck is not how you get access to financial products. And at the same time, applying for multiple credit products generates hot inquiries, which then hits your credit score, and you get into this loop of not being able to come out of the low credit score that you might have. And so, an important distinction to make and understand is that denial itself doesn't lower your score. The hot inquiry does. So a single inquiry usually has a relatively small temporary effect, but if you apply to too many credit cards, too many financial products, that's where the hot inquiries rack up. And so I suggest to people that don't spray applications and spray and pray. Check whether issues have pre-qualification with soft inquiries. Consider secured credit card and credit builder products. that can help you prepare you and get you to a point where you have a much higher chance, not based on luck, but based on the data. And the goal that you really should have is to get on the credit escalator, which is improve your credit, get good financial products, be responsible, have your score go up, then get even better financial products and keep going. And that is the way to get ahead, not, as I mentioned, spray and pray and hope somebody just gives you a shot, because frankly, everyone's underwriting policies and the way they determine whether you should get debt or not looks at the same data, which is your credit score and a credit report.
If traditional credit cards are a dead end for beginners, what actually works? How can a new immigrant start building a payment history using things they're already paying for every month?
The smartest move is to turn payments into, into what the credit system sees, the payments that you already make, right? Most newcomers to this country are already paying rent, utilities, a phone bill, subscriptions every month. And the problem is these payments are not being recorded into the system for you. And so that is the first thing you should do. And the first thing that the one should do is take these payments and get them to report to the credit bureaus. And you really don't need to borrow thousands of dollars. You don't have to go all out right away. All you need is legitimate accounts that are reported to the credit bureaus and, frankly, a series of boring, predictable on time payments. Credit building is boring, but it's beautiful and it works. And all you have to do is be consistent and be patient and stick with the boring. There is no shortcut to getting ahead in the credit system.
There's a big misconception that you need to be making a massive American salary to build a great credit score. Why does the system care so much more about consistency than the size of your paycheck at this stage?
So it's very important to understand that a credit score doesn't grade how rich you are. It grades how consistently you manage credit. So your salary isn't a part of the information used to determine or calculate your credit score. The scoring model actually looks at behavior. Do you pay on time? How much of available credit are you using? Are you responsible with it? How long have these accounts been open? None of that has to do with your income level. And someone earning $50,000 who pays every account on time and keeps balances manageable can have stronger credit than someone earning $500,000 but misses payments once in a while or on a consistent basis. So that said, now lenders may separately consider income on determining the amount of credit you get, but income and credit behavior are two different questions, and we have to understand that we have to look at them and optimize for them differently. Just because you don't have a high salary does not mean that your credit score needs to be bad.
Navigating a completely foreign financial system can feel like learning a whole new language. How does ABA bridge that gap and allow international professionals to start building U.S. credit safely from day one?
Yeah. So look, our mission is to help everyone manage their finances, starting with credit so they can live better. And the way we do this is we turn credit building from a scavenger hunt into a system, into a methodical way to get ahead. Instead of telling newcomers to apply randomly and hope for approval, we give eligible members several structured ways and safe ways to begin establishing reported US credit activity. For example, the AVA Credit Builder card can be used for eligible subscriptions, and payments are when they are set on auto pay. You consistently pay them. We report that to the credit bureaus as quickly as possible, sometimes within 24 hours. And that starts improving your credit history. And we also report, if eligible, your rent and utilities to TransUnion, and going back as far as 24 months to help you establish that credit history. One more thing, we also have a credit save and build credit account. What that does, it adds to the mix and the type of credit that you have, which is looked upon by the credit bureaus very positively. And it's basically a secured loan, and once you pay it off, you get all the money back, except for maybe in some states a service fee. But overall, all of this is a system, and a system that's in one place. And I suggest this, whether you use Ava or any other product, try to create a system. Try to create a way that prevents you from making mistakes and having multiple different credit factors working together in unison to move your credit score and your credit history.
Building a life in a new country takes an incredible amount of grit. What is the biggest piece of advice or encouragement you have for someone who's trying to build their American dream but feels completely locked out by the credit system right now?
Yeah. Look, a lot of talented, hardworking, ambitious people come to this country to make a better life for themselves. You are not starting from zero as a person. Only your American credit file is starting from zero. That's very important to acknowledge. Building a life, requires a life in a new country requires a lot of courage. And when you come and hit the financial system and the credit system, it can feel personal. But you always have to remind yourself it is not a judgment of your character or your potential. It is simply a set of rules, and those rules can be learned. Start with one account, make every payment on time, avoid unnecessary applications, don't try to take shortcuts, and give the process time. And before you know it, if you're disciplined, you can actually establish a very strong credit history, by the way, which is exactly what the credit bureaus are looking for. They're not looking for people who are flash in the pan, quickly try to figure some credit hack out, and then over time don't show that they're responsible, and then they fall out. You want a sustainable financial health, and your credit score is a sign of that sustainability. And simply, just one more thing, your job is to create a record, right? And that's all you need to do. And let the right tools and let your habits do that. And before you know it, your credit score can be in the place that sets you up for success.